If the past year has taught us anything, it's the importance of finding that right balance so that we can continue to thrive in life no matter what else is going on around us. So, today I want to talk about how you can get better work life balance in your life right now. And this video is sponsored by Fertility House Calls. Hi, I'm Tasha Cochran, and this is One Big Happy Life, where we help you find balance, build wealth, and live happy. Everything that you need to create the life that you want. So, work-life balance has been very different over the past year and a half, ever since the pandemic started. We have been home together, me, Joseph, and the kids, Alexis in her junior year of college, and Reeves, who just turned 5. So work-life balance looks very, very different for us now than it did before the pandemic because we're homeschooling. Joseph is still working full-time in his day job, and I'm trying to run a company while we're also balancing being at home with 2 kids, one of whom is in college working on distance learning. And, all things considered, I would say that we are fairly lucky in that we have both, Joseph and I have a lot of flexibility in our schedule. And while Alexis will always be a little bit of my baby, it's true that she's an adult. So we have 3 adults here in the house that help us juggle our workload with balancing time with Reeves. But there is still so much that needs to get done around the house, things we want to take care of, and it can get really overwhelming. And I know that I'm not alone in wanting better work-life balance, no matter what is going on around us in our family lives, and especially because of what is going on around us in our family lives. And that's why I wanted to share some thoughts, some strategies to help you find better balance right now. Starting with number 1, get help. Ask for help. You don't have to do everything on your own. Now, as a mom, I'll often see so many of those memes and really honestly reading articles about how women are bearing the brunt of the impacts of what is happening with the pandemic and people working at home and needing to balance work with spending time with their children and homeschooling their children and virtual learning. But here's the thing, you don't necessarily have to go it alone. You can reach out for help, and that help can come in many different forms. It could come in the form of you talking to your partner about balance and about work hours and who's taking care of what around the house. It could come in the form of you reaching out to your social support system, the people around you, maybe expanding your bubble to include another family where maybe you can trade off homeschooling kids if your kids are around the same age so that the adults are able to better balance their workload. It could also come in the form of hiring out additional help. And this could look a lot of different ways. It could be you getting someone to come in and help clean, safely, of course. It could be using a meal kit delivery service so that you don't have to spend a whole bunch of time grocery shopping. Or it could be something as simple as another convenience. Like we just recently got one of those robotic vacuums. And so it goes around the house and it's constantly sweeping up the little crumbs, the dog hair from our Newfoundland that is shedding her winter coat everywhere. And just that little vacuum that cost a couple $100 going around the first floor of our house just makes the whole space feel so much neater and tidier. And I don't feel the frustration of having to remind our 2 primary dog caregivers, Joseph and Alexis, to sweep up after the dog or clean up after the dog because we've got this little vacuum that's doing the work for us. So just think about ways that you can maybe either ask for the help that you need from your partner, from your children, from your neighbors and friends, or hire the help that you need. Sometimes it's best to get support early when you're having challenges. When Joseph and I realized that we were having difficulty conceiving, we spent so much time just trying to figure out what the first right step was, which is why I'm so excited that this video is sponsored by Fertility House Calls, created by Ferring Pharmaceuticals. Did you know that 1 in 8 couples have trouble getting or staying pregnant? Fertility House Calls provides a platform where you can take the first step in your fertility journey and request an initial virtual consultation with a local fertility clinic. Connecting with a specialist is important so that you can get the support and answers that you need to help decide the next steps and take control of your fertility journey. You can learn more about Fertility House Calls by heading to fertilityhousecalls.com or by clicking the link in the description box. Now, we've talked about how to get support, right? How to get additional help. But the other side to that is you have to be willing to tell people what you need, both at home and at work. Because it can be really easy to sit there and think to yourself, well, my boss would never understand. My partner should already know what I need and how I need help. My partner should see that things are uneven, should see that I need more help with the kids or more help around the house, or my kids should see that I'm constantly cleaning up after them. But people just don't always notice. We think they should, but honestly, sitting there and thinking, well, it's someone else's responsibility to do the things that I need them to do really just keeps us in a place of a frustration, because we're frustrated because we think that they should be doing these things. They should see. We think they do see, and they're purposefully ignoring what they're seeing, but that's not the case. Just like we're all caught up in our heads with our own lives, so too are our boss, our partner, our children. Too often they're not trying purposefully to make things as miserable for you as possible. So you've got to just step into the belief that it's okay for you to tell people what you need every single time you need it, and that it's okay for you to reach out and say, look, I need this, right? Or I can't do this right now. Can you do this? To ask them for help, tell them what you need, and be really specific about what the expectations are. And sure, that might feel like a lot of work on the front end, but the more that you ask for what you need, the more you're creating patterns of being and living in a way that allows you to have more balance, because you've made it really clear to the people around you exactly what you need from them in order to thrive. Next, you've got to set better boundaries. So sometimes the answer, it needs to be no, or not right now, or when the bathroom door is closed, you don't come in because that is my quiet time. Speaking as someone who, for some reason, the bathroom for sure with Reeves, who is 5 and is still learning boundaries. But one of the things that I've had to do when I'm working to minimize the amount of constant interruptions and breaks in my thought pattern, what I've done is, if the office door is closed, that means no interruptions unless it is absolutely necessary. And so then what I do is I take periodic breaks. So I might work for a solid hour, and then I'll come out, I'll hang out with the family, we'll talk about whatever we need to talk about, and then I'll go back in the office and I will close the door. Another thing that I do to set boundaries is that I set my schedule so that I can have some quiet time. That is absolutely a way of setting boundaries. So I go to bed at a certain time so that I can wake up by 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. And the only person that would be up around 6:15 is Joseph, but he'll go down to the basement and he'll start working. I'm in the office, I'm working. Reeves might wake up as soon as 7:30. He may not wake up till about 8. But what that does is give me a good 2 hours of quiet time where I can feel like I have the house to myself. So setting boundaries isn't always about telling other people what you need them to do, but it's also setting boundaries with yourself and even using the situation around you to set boundaries, closing doors, waking up earlier to give yourself what you need. Another thing that you can do is to embrace doing less. Don't feel like you need to get it all done in the same way and at the same pace that you used to get things done. Life has changed, and the pace at which we live life has changed, for better or for worse. And so expecting yourself to be able to put in, say, a solid 8-hour day from 9 to 5 when you're also trying to homeschool a kid, maybe for the first time ever in your life, is not going to be the way that you can best set yourself up for success. So take a look at your calendar and see what things you can cut. Now, a mistake that I made earlier this year was I didn't hold proper boundaries on my calendar. Every single person that wanted an appointment, every single project that I wanted to do, I'm like, oh, I got to start doing that project right now. Whether it was a home project or a project in my business or a working on myself project, I just kept diving in and putting too many things on my plate. So recently, what I've done is just built in more time for rest, more doing absolutely nothing time, so that I had time to rest and recharge. So take a look at your calendar and see what's on there. First of all, if nothing's on your calendar, pay attention to how you're spending your time, right? Start tracking that to see where are your hours going, and then look for places where you can trim how much time you're spending on things or get rid of things altogether so that you can have more time for space, have more time to be present with your family without feeling like you need to constantly be doing. And it's a struggle, I know, from one bit of an overworker kind of person to another. It can be hard to just sit down and not feel like in my rest time, I should be folding laundry, I should be tidying up, I should be looking up a new organization system for our linen closet that has lost its way yet again. But I have been pushing myself to just step back into doing hobbies, having do nothing time where I just have fun. And that really does help me accomplish so much more in those periods of time where I am working. And lastly, spend some time just on self-reflection. Spend some time thinking about what you want your life to look like, what's working right now and what's not working right now. It's something that I talk about a lot because I know that is missing in so many people's calendar, right? When is the last time that you just stopped to journal? Remember when we were kids? I know I used to journal every single day. And that is a practice that I'm working on developing again, where I wake up in the morning and I spend 15 minutes journaling, or even at the end of the day, I have a nighttime journal where I try to spend 15 minutes journaling at night, where I just recap what happened in my day like I used to when I was younger. And that self-reflection is really grounding. It really helps identify what I want from my life, how I feel about my life. And the better we get at identifying how we're feeling, the more in tune we are with ourselves and can show up more and more as the person that we want to be and create the kind of life that we want to create before we get too far down the wrong path. So what's one small thing that you can stop doing or start doing to allow yourself to just have a little bit more breathing room and space to relax and reset during your week, no matter what is happening in your life right now? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.